And I said, what about breakfast at Fish and Ease? She said, I think I remember that film. And as I recall, I said, we both kind of liked it. And I said, well, that's one thing we got. I'm Mike Fisher, your trusty and trusted reporter. This is the Fishbowl, the Fish Report, also with cowboyscountry.com. You can see I'm asking you to bookmark the new link for cowboyscountry.com. Get it right. 71,000 fish heads in Cowboys Nation and growing. We've got a gigantic notebook, a top 10 notebook based on yesterday's Cowboys work at SoFi Stadium against the Rams. And I will go into this with two quick themes. One, you've heard me say it before, let the cake bake. Two, what exactly were we wanting Trey Lance to be in a preseason game? A lot of people are saying, well, he played against second and third string. Oh, yeah, and he played with the second and third stringers too. It was the JV. What exactly were we looking for? That's one of the things we'll discuss this morning. Get in, get on, be good. Bring something of intellect to the table, as we always ask you to do. Only 3 slappies allowed per program, and away we go. Here's our top 10 observations, our top 10 takes on what went down in the 13-12 loss. Not that the score particularly matters. At Los Angeles yesterday. Here we go. Deep breaths, highs, lows. Item 10. Marquise Bell. This is our own personal Marquise Bell. Last year, got 1 million tackles. Trying to play linebacker. A Dan Quinn concept that was in part about position flex, and in part, they were just short of guys. They're not short of guys at linebacker now. Marquise Bell gets to go play safety, which is what he was made to do. And he's making tackles on screen passes. He's breaking up a pass / almost had an interception. Then he does get an interception, one of 1 million of them thrown by the quarterback Stetson Bennett, the former college champion superstar. If we're going to cite a defensive star in that game, it's Marquise Bell. Where does he fit in the safety rotation? Let the cake bake here. Obviously, this wasn't a Malik Hooker game. This wasn't a Donovan Wilson game. But if you're trying to look for the third safety and you're doing it on merit, Marquise Bell at this moment is that guy. Item 9, DeMarvion Overshown. He was just happy to be back on the field. And he said, I was planning my little celebration. First time I made a tackle. I had it in me. I had to do something. This is a colorful guy. This is a good guy. I will say this, and I guess it makes good television. But now every team in every city, in every game, has the pre-pep talk, overdone, over-animated motivational speech. It's a Tank Lawrence thing for the Cowboys in the regular season. It can be a Dak Prescott thing. And I don't know. I don't know if it works. I'm not sure how much of it is theater and how much of it let's have DeMarvion Overshown give a speech to the third stringers and let's go get the Rams. I don't know. Item 8, Eric Scott Jr. That was eventful. He missed a tackle early. That's bad. Gets called for a late hit after giving up a 4th down catch for a 1st down conversion. That's bad. He gets the interception. And again, the Rams were throwing those things around like hotcakes. Eric Scott is in a tight battle, even though the Cowboys have done some clearing out at cornerback. And I have him on my 53-man roster projection. I have him there. That was before the game. And, of course, I don't have Andrew Booth before the game. the guy the Cowboys just traded for, the former second-round pick from the Vikings, don't have him on the 53. Might want to keep an eye on this one, though. Item 7. If you're looking for a star to just completely jump out at you in preseason, one of the reasons that Cowboy fans might be tempted, trained to do that is KaVontae Turpin. John H., I've just read the Cowboys game, $17 million to play with. I'm not sure what you're asking here. $17 million to play with. If you're talking about the Cowboys salary cap room, they have about $12 million in cap room at this time. I'm not sure what else you mean, but if you can clarify, I'll do my best to answer. As I always do, with 71,000, somewhere between, 10,000 and 71,000 people who watch this video. Would you please, therefore, hit the like button? That will encourage more people to get their arse in here. It also tells the algorithms on YouTube the kind of Cowboy coverage that you really do like. Also, thank you for subscribing here. Subscribers growing by the minute. So get in, get on, be good. Subscribe to the Fish Report. Go read cowboyscountry.com. It's free and worth every penny. Curtis B., I know you say, Fish, let the cake bake, but what about these signings? Yeah, I haven't exactly used that phrasing in relation to, in particular, the CeeDee Lamb thing, where Jerry Jones is just stumbling all over himself. And by the way, is him personally highly amused by it. He thinks this is funny. In fact, he told somebody that the initial comment about I don't feel any urgency about CeeDee Lamb was meant to be a joke. And here's the thing. And Jerry can be a very entertaining and funny guy. I've seen him do it a million times. A professional comedian, anybody, an amateur comedian will tell you, if you have to explain the joke, it's not funny. So when Jerry has to come back 3 days later and say, Mr. Clarence, you don't want to tell everybody I was just joking. If you have to explain the joke, it wasn't funny. And you already know it wasn't funny. KaVontae Turpin 2 years ago, right? In this same stadium. Wow. Ran back 2 kicks for touchdowns. Announced himself. I don't think we had anything like that here. I'm going through it. We had the tight end with drops. Jalen Brooks made a good adjustment on an early deep ball from Cooper Rush. I don't think we had a star was born in this one. We'll see what happens this weekend. Prime time at the Raiders. Item 6. You want to see the difference between making it in the NFL and making it in college. I think the Stetson Bennett thing is the thing. I think watching him yesterday, and again, there's ups and downs. I mean, he threw the game-winning touchdown pass with a couple of ticks left on the clock. He's at Georgia, and they go back-to-back titles. 2022 championship game, which was played at SoFi, wasn't it? Against TCU. And he wins 65-7. Now he's in that same building, having developed in the NFL, theoretically, and he basically throws 5 interceptions. Maybe 6. So part of my analysis, frankly, of Trey Lance, I'm not trying to compare Trey Lance right now to Dak Prescott. That's not fair. What if we compare Trey Lance to Stetson Bennett Stetson? Because he's their number 2 quarterback. Now they do have alleged competition, but that was the idea. That was the whole idea behind Matthew Stafford. We'll see now. Trey Lance did not look like an MVP Dak Prescott, but at least he didn't look like Stetson Bennett. Item 5. The Cowboys are not trading CeeDee Lamb. That's what they say. They say it strongly. They say it publicly. They say it privately. They say it in interviews. That is not their vision at all. What did Stephen Jones say the other day about the possibility of CeeDee Lamb not being here? The chances? 0.000 chance. But just as a matter of a brain exercise, because I believe him. I also believe this, by the way. I believe that when the Cowboys talked about draft and develop, they don't mention the third part, but the third part to me goes without saying. Draft, develop, and if they're great, sign them. And that's the path. Unless, and we've discussed this before, some team someday might do something radical and say, you know what, no matter, except maybe quarterback, no matter what, after year 3, we're going to start looking to trade that guy, and that way we will never have to pay. Of course, the problem with that is that next thing you know, you got $100 million in cap room. What are you going to do with it? Go buy a free agent? If you're going to go buy a free agent, why didn't you just buy the one you already had? So draft, develop, and sign. If you're going to take CeeDee Lamb with the 17th overall pick, even though you, quote, didn't need a wide receiver, but by God, he was a blue light flashing because he was the third guy on your board. If you're going to take him, draft him, develop him, then you dollars him. Draft, develop, dollars. I just thought of that myself. But the media speculation. What if the Chiefs, I don't know, the Bleacher reporting, what if the Chiefs gave you Rashee Rice and 2 first-round picks? I get 2 first-round picks for CeeDee Lamb? I will say this. I'm not slamming down the phone. Now, Rashee Rice, good player. Of course, he might be going to prison. So can you give me somebody else? 2 first-round picks for the Chiefs. Well, those are going to be the, 31st, 30th, 32nd pick in the draft. There's that. But just like I want to look under every rock for talent, I guess I want to listen to every conversation that anybody wants to have with me. Ultimately, though, first of all, I don't think teams would offer 2 first-round picks and then have a $35 million wide receiver. I don't see that team out there. I see that team here. Item 4. The Cowboys, as you know, do not retire jersey numbers. They do not officially retire jersey numbers. VJ, by the way, Uncle Fish Premium. Hey, how do I get to Circle and Star? Ask the fellas. They'll show you how. You trade CeeDee Lamb, and now you're super blow it up. And I'm already telling you this is blow it up, remodel after this year, with the idea that CeeDee Lamb, Micah Parsons, and others are foundational pieces that stay. And that's their plan. A lot of you guys discussing Mozzie as a bust. I want to say this about line play the morning after. And you know this about me if you've hung around it. And I respect those of you who may have studied Mozzie yesterday. Did you really watch him that closely with a football scouting mind to know whether he did his job well or not? Because I don't. So what I'm going to do is ask. I think I'm being fair. The same way I'm trying to be fair to Trey Lance, which we'll get to here momentarily in our top 10 takes on the Cowboys' performance yesterday at the Rams. Item 4, they don't retire jerseys, but, somebody throws you a number 22, for instance, you better know that was Bob Hayes and Emmitt Smith. Somebody throws you, and they don't just throw you number 88. That's orchestrated. Drew, Irvin, Dez, Lamb. Here comes Marshawn Nealon. edge rusher with bulk. I might not even call him an edge rusher. He might just be, we might need to call him defensive end. He's a more traditional defensive end in terms of the way he's built, certainly. They gave him 94. Now, that doesn't always work. What number was Randy Gregory here? But Charles Haley, DeMarcus Ware, and now Marshawn Nealon? It's not an accident. Item 3. Mike Zimmer, discipline, fundamentals. And then the question, if you're fully disciplined as a defender and you're fully fundamental as a defender, especially in the secondary, does that mean fewer interceptions? That's the concept, right? I'm going to be so fundamentally sound that I'm not going to take chances. I'm going to be so disciplined that I might not take chances. And yet, ding, 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 interceptions. Now, I don't know that any of those interceptions were the result of somebody being risky defensively. Some of those, the Cowboy player just made the catch on a poor throw. By the way, rookie linebacker Brock Mogensen, an interception, I'm watching him and going, is it just me or does he look fast? Like really fast. So, yes, so far so good on the idea that Dan Quinn's emphasis, which is we're to give you some elbow room to flex your talent muscle and take a little risk. And obviously Trayvon Diggs, that's a great mix for him, great fit for him. Here comes Zimmer, suggesting to his guys, you're going to get yours, but let's do it in a disciplined and fundamental way. And away we go. As I've often said, as a teacher or a coach, if you tell that kid, hey, listen, Junior, trust me, if you do A, B, C, your results will be 1, 2, 3. Just trust me. Put your foot here, put your hand here. Trust me. Study it. Study this test like this. Trust me. You study this test like this, you're going to get a good grade. And then when it happens, that pupil believes that teacher, trusts that teacher. That player believes that coach. Mike Zimmer gained some points yesterday in this building with players because he said, just do it my way. Trust me. And they did. And look what happened. Item 2, urgency. He's on with Bill Jones, right, on CBS 11 pregame show. I think I got in trouble, Mr. Bill. And around he went. An apology that was actually probably just about putting the Cowboys above the fold again when it comes to CeeDee Lamb. He said, I didn't want to create the impression, CD, that you're not missed. Well, CD, you're missed, okay? But then he said, what I really meant was you're not missed in the Rams game because you weren't going to play. Jerry, that's not what you were saying. You were saying, and again, I speak Jerryese like nobody's business. You were saying, you weren't talking about that day's practice. You weren't talking about Sunday's preseason game. You were saying you don't feel urgency with the CeeDee Lamb deal because you were trying to say, because you're playing it cool. That's what you were trying to say. At the Glory Hole press conference, I thought Jerry, I don't know if it was eloquent or not, but it was clear to me, part of his deal on the contracts was, and there's some truth to this, he said, you're on this 24 hours a day. It never goes away. And he and Stephen both said, once we're done with this guy and this guy and this guy, then the next 3 guys will step up too. So it's constant. So you can't panic about it, but you can be urgent. Even though he said there's no urgency, I'm appealing to the logical you. Yes, there is. And he knows it. Because even if ultimately we get to regular season, game 1, September 8th at Cleveland, and that week, CeeDee Lamb folds, the Cowboys will be worse for it. The CeeDee Lamb offensive chemistry, well, you'll have 4 months to catch up on in 4 practices. That's urgency. We're not there yet, but that's urgency. And finally, Trey talk. This has nothing to do, by the way, with any personal views. In my visits with Trey Lance, I find him to be a good, nice, smart kid. I don't know. What do I know? But this has nothing to do with that. This does have to do with, I guess, perspective. I ask you again, what were you expecting? Because, man, it would have been nice if Trey Lance would have gone out there and just torn it up. And you're watching Trey Lance, you're going, he's big enough, he's strong-armed, which he is. He's got mobility, which he does. He's not Michael Vick, but it would have been great to watch that game and go, he looks like Patrick Mahomes out there. Wonk, wonk. He hadn't played in a game in a million years. He's trying to get up from 3rd on the depth chart behind Dak and Rush. Played 3.5 quarters. Had 8 drives. Threw 41 passes. His legs are a weapon. His accuracy wasn't there yet. A lot of what we saw when we were in Oxnard at training camp, where he's kind of airmailing some throws, there was some of that. Had a 19-yard scramble, had a 13-yard run. Maybe a little hesitation. Not always accurate with ball placement, especially trying to go downfield. A couple drops in there. The knock on Lance as they work with footwork and grip and all the stuff that they're trying to, timing and accuracy. And I would say if you're a critic of Trey Lance, you get to come away this morning saying, I didn't see timing, I didn't see accuracy. Finished 25 of 41 for 188 yards, sacked a couple times, but also ran 6 times for 44 yards. His take on it is valid enough for me. And I hope people don't roast him for this. It's the first time he's played in a million years. He basically said, I had a ton of fun. He said, it was so much fun. We're going to go watch the film. I'm disappointed we didn't get in the end zone. You got to get in the end zone. McCarthy said, we got a lot of work to do. We saw some good things. I like the way he's wired. They're not handing anything to Trey Lance after that. He needs to be better before they even think about handing anything to him. But it's his first go in forever. I think if you squint, you can see some of the potential that Kyle Shanahan, quarterback genius, once saw. Lorenzo Diaz, good player, show it early. Completely false, Lorenzo. Absolutely, completely false. Not even close to true. There is no magic formula. Not in preseason games. Not in regular season games. Good players show it early. No, the number of guys, quarterbacks especially, who sit and sit and sit and then play for a while and stink and stink and stink before they become good, no, that's legend. That's reality. Trey Lance as the number 2 quarterback here, the concept is not yet dead. Cowboys will be back to practice, including, by the way, Dak Prescott, who had the sore ankle last Friday. He says, I'm 1,000% fine. Back to practice in Oxnard on Tuesday, getting ready for the Raiders. You can get ready for all of that, too, by going to that bookmark spot up top, cowboyscountry.com, our coverage of the Cowboys on Athlon. We appreciate you marrying that like it's your sister wife, whatever that is. Fish out.